is Tony Sklar coming to you live from Mobile Internet World here in Boston, Massachusetts at the inaugural Yankee Group event. How are you? And I am with Linda Barrabee. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
It is
How are
Thursday
you?
morning, so I'm still getting my bearings together. So this is your inaugural event.
Yes.
And how do you feel that you're entering this space is going to project the Yankee Group?
Well, personally, I think that when you think about the internet and then you think about mobility and you combine the two, it immediately you think enormous opportunity. But there's a lot of challenges to making it happen. So I think Yankee Group is trying to be at the forefront of trying to at least set the tone around this concept of ubiquitous connectivity and the fact that the internet is universal and mobility is universal, and how do you connect the two and make it happen in a meaningful way for the consumer. So I think it's great for us.
Tell me a little bit more from what you see in the industry,
Sure.
how that engagement is going to continue to grow.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think that one is that if you think about entertainment as just a category, it's a 50% transactional or paid by consumer and a 50% advertising supported marketplace. And when you think about where mobility is and entertainment, and once again that intersection, we're largely still in a full transactional mode. Consumers are being asked to pay for stuff on their phone. But yet, a lot of the research that we do shows that consumers are going to tap out, and they're already tapped out in many instances. So what we need to see is an infusion of also new business models to do two things, and that is advertising, to support the consumer's experience, so their ability to actually view video and see video and be entertained on their phone. And second, to actually help MTV pay for the production costs to produce content that's compelling on a phone. So I think we're at a bit of a challenging stage right now in the marketplace, because you have the wireless carriers that still want to continue to drive revenues just to get their consumers to pay more.
Got to monetize that platform, got to get the money out of the equipment.
And yet consumers don't necessarily see the value in what they're being asked to pay. So I think we're at a transitional point right now in the marketplace, but I think that you've got a lot of companies out there that are trying to enable mobile advertising. And there's actually a lot of brands that would love to be associated with a great mobile experience. And I think MTV talked about that a little bit yesterday.
I think I might be citing some numbers here you're probably familiar with, but 8% of Fortune 1000 companies are in the mobile advertising space, have put budgets towards mobile advertising. That's a very small amount of the Fortune 1000 companies, and equaling a large amount of money, but obviously that money is going to grow. There's going to be so much more available in such a quick period of time. However, you had brought up this sort of suggestion of repurposed content, and I don't really see how the repurposed content is going to develop through to the mobile handset, because people don't want to watch Lost on their handset. They want something that is a little bit more in tune with, maybe it's not user-generated content, but it's more of a converged technology.
Our research doesn't show that, and I guess maybe I should clarify what I was saying is that I think that MTV needs to look to brands to help them create made-for-mobile content, because there's a production cost associated with that. So they're looking to brands to help them do that and cover the costs. Because there's the limited audience right now of consumers that watch video on their phone. In the U.S. market, it's about 6%. So going back to your question, I think that if we look at the youth market, we surveyed the youth market, what they want to watch on their phone. Now, granted, we're surveying them, so there's limitations in survey research. You have to sometimes show them something new before they say, I'm in. I like this made for mobile, or I like short video clips. But actually, teenagers and the youth market in general, 13 to 24-year-olds, they actually want to watch their favorite programs or even movies on their cell phone.
Well, movies,
and I think the portable device market, what Apple's done with the video iPod and what they've done with the iPhone and the iPod Touch is instructive for mobile. So I would say that yes, there's an opportunity for some connected content, but I actually think consumers want to take on their phone what they might already be taking on other portable devices. So I would say that it's really not clear what the demand is going to be, because it's such a new platform.
You bring up so many great points that I'm chomping at. Like, well, the first one, obviously, we're still in the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
The marketplace is very wide open. You brought up a point about North America. I was going to bring up a point about Europe. Obviously, you know, there still is some growth in markets outside of North America, although this is a predominantly a North American conference on how to monetize and how to place businesses within a value chain within North America. But we have so many technologies that are coming out of Europe. You brought up the idea of watching movies on your cell phone. The Motorola new Z8 is coming with a side load of the Born Identity. And how great is that? We're seeing longer battery lives, we're seeing better screens, we're seeing HD content. I mean, there's so much that I agree with what you're saying. But let's talk about some of the strangleholds. Because there's a few of them.
Yes, I think well, first of all, there's licensing issues, right? There's rights issues. Second of all, there's also just issues with the device itself, form factor considerations, battery life, the ecosystem working, right? So you need all these things in place. And then there's monetization, right? So you got to make some money. So I think that it's a bit like looking at mobile music. I mean, I think mobile music is actually a little bit further along, but I would say, in a way, struggling to find its place because I think the margins are so thin there around, and I think there's a bit of a clash between the labels and their expectations in terms of their share and fair share and the carriers. And I think in this mobile video space, you've got the aspirations of the content owners or publishers, studios, and you've got the carrier aspirations, and then there's the folks in the middle doing the enablement. And sometimes these are at cross purposes. But I would say what's instructive to look at is that you've got major networks and studios that are now actually previously had held on to those fall TV lineup assets really tightly. They get a little bit more online distribution, and how you really have to loosen up your distribution of content, or else it's going to show up on YouTube anyway, right? So they're starting to do that with free downloads most immediately after a show has been previewed, or trying to monetize it a bit on, say, iTunes and other places. But and then there's a disagreement there between all of these content owners and Apple. So I think when you start to
we'll just put Jobs right on that pedestal, right? Okay.
So then when you look at mobile and you're adding another platform and there's porting issues and different players, you've got another layer of complexity. So what I see is happening, and I think it's good for the marketplace, is the content owners are starting to take more direct control and saying, you know what, we want in and we want to speak to our consumers and we want to distribute our content. And I think it's a bit early because there is a bit of that, as I said before, willingness to pay.
Right.
We asked consumers in our survey, what do they want to pay for this stuff? And they're saying, of those that want to pay monthly, which is a very small percentage of consumers, they want to pay about $5. Yet the prevailing price points on a carrier DAC for video is about $15 to $25.
It is, that's true.
So there's a little bit of a disconnect.
That is, you should be commended on that point, for sure. And it's nice to see it going forward, taking those minds and the things that do come out of these conferences and putting them to work. And maybe you can comment just one more time or a little bit on how that is going to happen in such a short period of time before that next conference.
Well, I mean, I think when you start to think about, in a way I think of, the mobile internet, I think of mobile advertising. In a way you've got industries that are being disrupted. Right, advertising's being disrupted. The audience the audience is continually fragmented, and they don't really know what to do. In mobility, we're tapping out, right? It's a mature marketplace, and the carriers are trying to think of where do we go next. So at a conference like this, when you bring together, and the mobile internet, there's a disagreement. Is it just the internet? Is it the same? Is it the internet on your phone? Or is it something new and different? So I think when you bring together a lot of different viewpoints, and as you mentioned, industry thought leaders, and certainly Yankee Group would certainly be dedicating a great deal of our research into helping the industry move in the right direction. When you bring thought leaders together to debate these issues where there isn't necessarily a clear answer, but talk about what they're doing that's working, what's not working, I think it directionally brings us a little bit closer to making it a reality. So, I mean, I think that this is a great first event for us, and we certainly look forward to helping the market mature and grow a little bit more, because I consider it to be pretty much in its infancy still.
It is still in its infancy. Well, you know, I have to agree with so many things that you've said, and I can't wait to have this conversation the next time during the next event, or maybe it's CTIA or maybe at GSM. As we continue to cover these conferences, we see so much growth and yet so many different types of business models. I think that's wonderful that this inaugural event has taken place here in Boston and that you guys have done such a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. you very much. I'm Tony Sklar for BNet TV here live at Mobile Internet World with the Yankee Group.